A 90-pound pit bull refused to leave a newborn baby's room for 3 straight days. The parents tried everything: treats, toys, even physically carrying him out. But the moment they turned their backs, he'd sneak right back in and plant himself beside that crib like a statue made of muscle and devotion. The whole family was terrified. What if he snapped? What if one wrong move turns tragic? But what they discovered at 3 a.m. on the 3rd night didn't just shock them. It shattered every assumption they'd ever made about this so-called dangerous breed. This is Bruno, and this is the moment that proved everyone wrong. We weren't planning on getting a dog that day. Life was already chaotic enough. My wife, Sarah, was 8 months pregnant with our first baby, our little burro we'd already named Emma. The nursery was painted soft lavender, the crib assembled, tiny clothes folded and waiting. We were terrified and excited in equal measure, completely unprepared for the reality that parenthood was just weeks away. But then, my coworker sent me a text with a photo that stopped me cold. It was a pit bull at the local high kill shelter. Massive head, scarred muzzle, eyes that looked like they'd given up on everything. The caption read, "Last day tomorrow. Nobody wants him." I see you haven't subscribed yet. That honestly makes me really sad. His name was Bruno. 90 pounds of solid muscle with cropped ears and a body covered in marks that told stories he could never speak. The shelter paperwork was brutal. Returned twice, aggressive with other dogs, not suitable for families with children, high energy, requires experienced handler. Sarah's reaction when I showed her the photo was immediate. Absolutely not. We're about to have a baby and you want to bring home a pit bull with an aggression history? Are you insane? She wasn't wrong. Every rational part of my brain agreed with her, but I couldn't stop looking at that photo. There was something in Bruno's eyes, beneath all that resignation and defeat, something that looked like he was still hoping, just barely, that someone might see past the scars. I drove to the shelter alone the next morning, telling myself I was just going to look, just to see him in person, to confirm that Sarah was right, that this was a terrible idea. Bruno was in the back row of kennels, the area they call death row, where dogs on their final day wait. All the other dogs were barking, jumping, desperate for attention. Bruno just sat there, perfectly still, watching me approach. When I knelt down in front of his kennel, he didn't react. No barking, no tail wagging, no excitement. He just looked at me with an expression that felt almost human, like he was asking one simple question. Are you here to save me, or are you just another person who's gonna walk away? I signed the papers an hour later. Sarah cried when I brought him home. Not happy tears, scared ones. He's huge. What if he hurts the baby? What if we made a mistake? Bruno seemed to sense her fear. He kept his distance, staying in the corner of the living room, watching us with those careful, calculating eyes. That first night, he didn't eat. He didn't explore. He just curled up on the dog bed we'd bought him and stared at Sarah's belly like he could see through it. The first few weeks were tense. Bruno never showed aggression, but he was obsessed with Sarah. He followed her everywhere. Kitchen, bathroom, bedroom. He was always 3 steps behind, silent and vigilant. When Sarah would sit on the couch, exhausted from pregnancy, Bruno would position himself at her feet, his massive body forming a barrier between her and the front door. It wasn't threatening, it was protective. Then Emma was born. We were terrified to bring her home. The pediatrician, our parents, even her friends all asked the same question. Are you really keeping that dog around a newborn? We'd already decided. If Bruno showed even a hint of aggression, we'd rehome him immediately. Emma's safety was non-negotiable. The moment we walked through the door with Emma in her car seat, Bruno's entire demeanor shifted. He approached slowly, carefully, like he was walking on sacred ground. He sniffed the car seat once, then sat down and just stared at her tiny sleeping face. His tail wagged. Just once, but it was the first time we'd ever seen it move. That night, we put Emma in her crib in the nursery and tried to get some sleep. New parent exhaustion hit us like a truck. Sarah and I collapsed into bed around midnight, setting alarms for every 2 hours to check on Emma. At 3 a.m., my alarm went off. I dragged myself out of bed and walked toward the nursery, but something stopped me cold. Bruno wasn't in his bed. The house was silent. Panic shot through me. I ran to Emma's room and pushed the door open, heart pounding. What I saw made me freeze. Bruno was lying on the floor directly beside Emma's crib, his massive body stretched out like a guardian statue. But that wasn't what shocked me. Emma's baby monitor had fallen off the side of the crib and was dangling by its cord just inches from her face. One more shift, one tiny movement, and it could have fallen on her. Bruno had positioned himself so that if the monitor fell, it would hit him first, not her. He looked up at me when I entered, his eyes calm and steady, like he was saying, "I've got her. She's safe." I knelt down beside him, tears streaming down my face, and wrapped my arms around his scarred, massive head. "You've been protecting her this whole time, haven't you?" His tail wagged again. From that night on, Bruno never left Emma's side. Every nap, every bedtime, every middle of the night feeding, he was there. Not intrusive, not aggressive, just present. When Emma started crying, Bruno would come find us before we even heard her through the monitor. When she learned to crawl, Bruno walked beside her like a living bumper, gently redirecting her away from stairs and sharp corners. The dog everyone said was too dangerous, too aggressive, too broken, became the most devoted guardian our daughter could ever have. Now, Emma is 2 years old. Her first word was Dada. Her second word was Boo Boo, her name for Bruno. Every night at bedtime, she wraps her tiny arms around his neck and whispers, "I love you, Boo Boo." And every night, Bruno's tail wags like it's the first time he's ever heard those words. People still cross the street when they see us walking. They still stare at Bruno like he's a monster. But Emma doesn't see a monster. She sees her best friend, her protector, her Boo Boo. And that 90-pound Pitbull who nobody wanted, who was hours away from being euthanized, found exactly what he'd been searching for all along, a family who finally saw him for who he really was.